started. Thank you everybody who has joined us today for the first year experience programs, How to Zag Q A. This is going to be an opportunity where you will have some updates shared with you about fall, new student orientation, move-in, and some certain to-dos that you need to get ready to start working on as you prepare to come to Gonzaga University in the fall. We have a few panelists joining us today, and we will get going and get started by having our PowerPoint shared with you. As we go through the PowerPoint, this should be only about 15, 20 minutes max, and we want to leave as much time available for the questions that you have available. So please feel free to start putting the questions into the Q&A section. Our staff will be going through the Q&A, and that's how we will be responding to information. If you have any general comments that you would like to share or shout out to say hi to some of the other new students on this webinar, please feel free to go ahead and include those in the chat, and let's put all of our questions in the Q&A. So here we go. We're going to get started. As some reminders, just want to let you know that this will be recorded and posted at the virtual Gonzaga website. So if you do not remember everything that is shared today, don't worry, you will be able to come back to this webinar. And if you have some new Zag friends that you would like to share this with, you will also be able to share the link with them from the virtual Gonzaga website. As I shared, put all questions in that Q&A box. And please remember the chat will be monitored as an opportunity for us to see what thoughts or comments you have, but we will be answering questions that are in the Q&A. And of course, we do want to let you know that the audio is muted for all participants. So the Q&A will be very important for you to put your questions in there, and then we'll go ahead and respond to your question as much as we can. So I want to give you a little overview about first year experience programs. Our office is here to support you, new students, as you transition into the university. Now that you have gone through the process of applying, being admitted, and selecting to join in our Zag community, first year experience is the office that admissions transitions you all into. The great thing is that you don't have to sign up for this office or services. All of it is included as a Gonzaga student. And we really look forward to welcoming you this fall as we work to plan a new student orientation and a first year transition experience with the entire Gonzaga community. My name is Dr. Kelly Alvarado Young, and I am the director of first year experience programs, and you can call me Dr. K.
Hi, my name is Lexi Horton, and I am going to be a junior in the fall. I am a first year experience office assistant. This is my second year. I'm from Spokane, Washington, and I am majoring in sport management with minors in general business and promotions.
Good morning, good afternoon, wherever you are in the world. My name is John Wheeler. I am the Director of Residence Life here at Gonzaga.
So we're going to get started and provide a student financial services overview. And at this point, there are a lot of to-dos that hopefully you should be working on and aware of as we move forward in regards to student financial services. Then we'll go ahead and talk about housing. We'll follow that by pre-orientation programs and new student orientation. And we'll wrap it up with a communication information about the fall. So for financial aid, one of the things that we understand in regards to COVID is that potentially some financial situations may have changed for families. So we do encourage you, if you have not submitted a free application for federal student aid or FAFSA, please feel free to go in there and fill that out. It will give us the opportunity to know a little bit more about financial situations that you all are facing. And if you have submitted a FAFSA, you are able to also go in and update the FAFSA based on what's going on with your family now, particularly in regards to COVID-19. So please feel free to check out that website. There are outstanding requirements still in financial aid that need to be completed, such as accepting any financial aid or declining any financial aid that you may have been provided. And you are going to go ahead and do that in Zag Web. So if you're not sure if you have accepted your financial aid for the summer, please make sure that you do that in Zag Web. And then we will be sending out bills for the fall semester in mid-July. And during this time, you will be able to indicate how you intend to pay, and we do have payment plan options available for all family members. Another thing that's important for you is your Zag Card. This is going to be your new student ID that basically does everything and anything for you on campus. It will let you into your residence hall buildings, into certain buildings on campus. It will be the card that has your dining dollars and your ability to swipe into the cog for lunches and meals and different activities. It's also the card that will be swiped if you attend activities on campus. So your Zag Card is a really important first piece of making you a brand new student. And the photo deadline for that is going to be July 31st. All of this can be done online at gonzaga.edu/ZagCard. And you will be able to upload a photo that is passport style. So here on this PowerPoint slide, it shows you the picture on the left meets requirements. Pictures on the right do not meet requirements. We want to make sure that it is a passport style photo. And when you submit that photo, you will receive a confirmation letting you know if it has been accepted or if we're going to ask you to do another photo. Student employment. For those of you who are interested in working on campus, either because you have federal work study dollars available, or you're interested in gaining some real life experiences, similar to what our student office assistant Lexi is doing, you are welcome to look into student employment opportunities. Those will be going live in August, and we will have a website available where you'll be able to see all of the positions that we have on campus and apply directly to those positions. So the benefits of working during the first semester is that it helps you establish some people on campus that are there for you. It helps you learn real life work skills, and it gives you an opportunity to get to know people outside of your residence hall and your classes. So we really recommend and encourage students to consider student employment opportunities as a great way to transition into the university. With that, I'm going to pass it over to John Wheeler to go through the housing and residence life slides.
Hi, everyone. Again, my name is John Wheeler. I'm the Director of Residence Life at Gonzaga, and I am going to be talking about some considerations regarding your housing. So if you have not already applied, please do so. If you have, that's great. You have the opportunity to go in and make changes to your application if you feel that that's necessary. But we determine when folks have the opportunity to get into our system and make room selections by the date which we receive their housing application. So it's important to get in as soon as you can. Again, you can do that through Zag Web and then through the Zag Living portal. Roommate matching has already opened. It opened on May 6th. So students can go in and look for specific roommates, see suggestions based on your profiles, or search for a roommate that matches your specific question. So for example, if you are an early riser and you get up at 6 o'clock in the morning and you would like a roommate who also gets up at 6 o'clock in the morning or in the early hours, you can look for folks who match that, that interest or that lifestyle choice. I think it's important to note that the more you match and the profiles match with a prospective roommate, the more likely you are going to have a good experience. So it's important to keep an eye on the percentage of match that you have with a person. If you belong to or are a member of accepted into a living learning community, you will be able to pair with another member of that living learning community. Unfortunately, if you want to live with someone who is not a member of that community, you will not be able to live with that person. You'll have to make a different choice as to a roommate or whether or not you want to continue to participate. So there are 3 ways to select roommates. So the algorithm on Zag Living shows you the folks who have the closest match to your profile questions. And so it will suggest a roommate for you. You can also go in and search for roommates by detail. So for example, if you have someone from your high school that you know who is also coming to Gonzaga, you can find that person's screen name and use that to link with them or to communicate with them to put yourself in a roommate group with that person. Or, as I mentioned before, you can search by specific answers to questions. Again, the more you match that person or the more answers that are similar with another person, the more likely you are to have a good experience with your roommate. And this is basically the same information, so I'll keep moving forward. So back one. Okay, so it's important to note that students are required, those who are required to live on campus are guaranteed a room. However, we cannot guarantee that you're going to have the building that you may absolutely want. So there are some buildings that are high in demand and they have limited rooms available. And so if you come into the system after the point which all of the rooms are filled, then you won't be able to see that building. So it's important to have several options in mind when you go to select a room. It's also important to note that some of our buildings do have sophomores who live in those spaces, and so the number of available beds would be smaller. We do not house or have roommates between classes, so we do not have first years live with second year students. If we have available beds in a second year room, then we typically fill that with a transfer student. Housing selection, which I know is on the minds of most of our students, incoming students, begins, actually, it will begin in the 3rd week of June. So the finish of the selection process will be on June 19th. But we will open the process in the 3rd week of June. You will be notified of your time slot for when you can select a room. If you are paired with a roommate, the person who has the earliest time slot to select a room should choose the room first and then bring their roommate into the room with them. And so if you have not selected a room by June 19th, the housing department will select a room for you with the best possible fit that we can find. Again, knowing that there might be buildings which you're interested in living in, but they're full. And so we'll do our best at accommodating your wishes given the demand that we have. So move-in details. I know that this is also a point of interest for many of our Zags. We know now the dates of move-in. They will be August 26th, 27th, and 28th. Unfortunately, we won't be able to tell you what your move-in date is until after everyone has selected a room. The room itself has a specific day and time at which students are able to move into that space. And so once we know where all of our Zags will be living in the fall, which will be after the June 19th date, we will soon send out information to you as soon as possible to notify you of when you will be able to move in. Given the current situation with COVID, we want to make sure that everyone is safe while they move in. So we are restricting the number of students who are moving into a specific wing, into a specific building on a specific floor at a given time. And so we will be holding firm to those move-in times and dates. Again, we will email you that time and date as soon as we have that information. And that's all I have for you for housing.
Thanks, John, for providing that housing information. So we're going to talk a little bit about pre-orientation programs, and most of the questions that we received in the chat from Ellie, Mario, Fry, and Maddie is asking, is pre-orientation going to happen? And so now that Dr. McCullough has shared that we will be having the phased move-in, as John had talked about, we are in the process of evaluating if we can provide pre-orientation programs. So we are going to encourage you to please check your Zag mail at the beginning of this week for the latest information and updates. We're in the final process of reviewing all of our options, and again, trying to ensure the overall safety and health of our students, participants, and our staff and faculty. So we'll have an update coming later this week. I do want to draw your attention to something that will also be coming to you personally delivered to your mailbox. We have the How to Zag Care Package that was created in partnership with the Office of Admissions and First Year Experience programs. You will receive a really awesome box that is filled with some sweet Zag swag. We really hope that you will highlight and show you using this Zag swag on social media with the hashtag #BeAZag and hashtag #HowToZag. And you will be receiving items such as some really sweet Gonzaga socks, a really awesome pop socket for those of you who want to display your Gonzaga pride on your phones, and a Gonzaga pennant so that you can display that in your room or get ready to put it up in your residence hall as you come to Gonzaga in the fall. Additionally, what you will receive in that box will be the How to Zag workbook. And it is literally the best thing that you could have, especially in light of COVID this year, because it has all of your to-dos for the month of June, July, and August. And there are some things that are required of you to do before you come to campus, such as selecting a roommate, selecting a place you want to live, paying your bill, submitting your Zag Card photo, completing the Zags Help Zags online orientation that will be in August. So all of these details and the contact information for the various offices on campus that you want to connect with is going to be inside of this workbook. It will also include a companion website. So if you are traveling or don't know where you put your workbook, you have the opportunity to go online to our website and be able to get an online PDF for you to complete as you go through the workbook to-dos. Additionally, we love Zag swag, and so we really hope that you do as well. And we will be doing really great contests throughout the summer for students who complete the How to Zag reflection. And it's an online reflection that is done and is in relationship to all of your monthly to-dos. All students who complete their reflection will be submitted in a drawing for some Zag swag. The Zag swag for June and July will be mailed directly to you. And then if you end up winning some Zag swag in August, you will be able to pick it up at orientation. Some of the ideas of the Zag swag could be a really cool water bottle so that you can stay hydrated. It might be some really cool stickers or some face tattoos to cheer on the Zags at any of the multiple athletic events that we have on campus. So we really look forward and hope that you enjoy the How to Zag Care Package. That box will be coming to you sometime the last week of June, and it'll be mailed out to the home address that we have on file from your admissions application. If you do need another address, please send us an email to firstyearexperience@gonzaga.edu to ensure that we're sending the boxes to the correct place. Here is a short overview of new student orientation. We will be starting on the day that all students move into campus. So that is the one thing that I do want to share with all of you students. Depending on when you move in, Wednesday, Thursday, or Friday, you will have orientation activities that evening. And we are in the process of identifying what those activities are, particularly in regards to COVID-19 guidelines with social distancing, mask wearing, contact tracing. And we have a pandemic response task force that is helping us on campus to identify that information. So we will have more information at the July and especially the August How to Zag Q A. So we encourage you to save those dates so that we can provide you the latest updates regarding new student orientation. We will have a centralized check-in process, and that is one thing that we are very glad to be able to streamline for you. You will be able to pick up your Zag card, check into orientation, and also check into housing, all at one location. And again, we're finalizing how and where those locations are, but we will be doing our best to ensure that you have the most streamlined, easy process as you move into campus, and know where to be able to ask questions as you're figuring things out for your arrival to campus. And then throughout orientation, we will be doing how to Zag programming. You'll have opportunities to receive information on academics at Gonzaga, taking classes, how to budget and manage your finances, talking about career discernment and what do you want to be when you grow up and what are you going to do with this degree, or what degree do you really want, and being able to explore degree options if you're undecided. We're really looking forward to having over 250 orientation leaders who are returning Zags that are going to be coming to welcome you to Gonzaga University. So you will have the opportunity to connect with returning students, new students, staff, and faculty throughout your week of orientation. So with that, we're moving to the Q&A section of How to Zag. We want you to save the date for our next Q&A, which will be Saturday, July 11th. Please follow us on all social medias, especially the gram at Zag First Year, and make sure to post pictures of you throughout the summer with hashtag #HowToZag so that Lexi, who manages our social media, will be able to feature you in your stories and your Zag pride as you're getting ready to join us at Gonzaga University. And of course, if there are any questions that we're not able to answer for you today, please feel free to email us at firstyearexperience@gonzaga.edu, and we will get back to you when we're in the office on Monday. So with that, I'm going to transition it to Lexi, who will be our moderator for the Q&A.
Hi, everyone. So we're just going to start off by answering a few questions. Someone asked, how does picking a roommate work for living and learning communities? So your roommate does have to be someone who's been accepted into that living learning community. And then whoever has the earliest time, they will select the room that you guys want to be in, and then so you'll add yourself and then you'll add your roommate to the other bed. Another question, will parents be able to attend orientation events? So there will be a parent and family orientation and a new student orientation during that same time. So parents will attend the parent and family orientation events, and then new students will attend the new student orientation events. There's only a couple overlap with events, but they're pretty separate. Kelly, do you know about honor students checking in on the 25th to Cremont? Is that still happening?
So we are in conversations with the honors program to identify how they'll be moving in, particularly around programming, because I know the honors students were supposed to do a pre-arrival immersion as a part of being the honors community. John, do you have any additional info regarding Cremont?
I don't at this time, but if we move in that direction and our that program moves forward, we will be reaching out to all students to let them know when their move-in day is. And so if it's different than the 26th, 27th, or 28th, we will inform students of their new date of arrival.
Someone had a question, is random roommate done by selecting an open room, then whoever also selects that room as your roommate, so it's done random, not by their profile. And I actually did random roommate, and when I was looking, I lived on the second floor of Coghlan, so when you look at all the open rooms, if there's people in those rooms, it shows the percent that you're compatible, and then you can choose a room based off that. But if you're the first person in that room, anyone can enter that room. Am I right, John?
That's correct. So the second person in would be able to see that level of compatibility with the person who's currently in that space.
Yeah. And a random roommate usually works out really well. I know a lot of, I think about 80% of Gonzaga students do random roommates, and I've always heard really great things. And I had a really great experience with doing random. John, do you know how late into June or July that they will know their move-in date, because someone already booked a plane ticket?
So as I said, as soon as we have all of our folks identified, so by June 19th, we'll know all of those, and then we will email out when people are, what day and time they are supposed to move in. And so it is important to keep an eye on that that email. If you have conflicts, you can reach out to housing@gonzaga.edu, and we can work with you to come up with a solution.
Someone had a question about tenting for basketball tickets and if the university provides those tents. I do believe Gonzaga Outdoors, which is our outdoor program, has tents that are available for rent, but I do know that most students purchase their own tents because you'll most likely be using them for 4 years. Housing hasn't sent out their emails about when they select their rooms. That should be coming the 3rd week of June.
Yeah, actually next week, by the end of the week, we will send out that information because it's in the 3rd week of June that we actually do the selection process.
Ooh, Kelly, do you know anything about someone getting an error with Handshake? Are they able to log on to that yet?
So with Handshake, we actually just transitioned from Handshake to a new platform called Simplicity. If you can go onto the Gonzaga website and look at Zag's Ignite, that is the new website for jobs. All fall jobs are going to be added August 1st. So some jobs you might see on there potentially are just for summer, because we still do hire students here on campus for summer positions. So I encourage you, look for Zag's Ignite, and that's where you'll be able to sign on with a single sign-on. And then August 1st will be the date where you will be able to get the information for fall positions. And if you have any questions, please contact Career and Professional Development. They're going to be the office that will be able to help you navigate that. Or just shoot us an email at First Year Experience and we'll get you connected.
Yeah, and Justin put the link to that in the webinar chat. There is a recommended list of items to bring in the dorm that will be on the Housing and Res Life webpage. And I think it's also, is it in the How to Zag guide? Yeah, so there's those 2 options to find that list. Someone asked, how do you know who's in your LLC? I don't think they have any groups that are specific to only people who've been accepted, but I know on ZME, it seems like I have access to that, so it seems like people have been posting what LLC they've gotten into, and maybe you can reach out and create a group chat.
That's what I would suggest as well.
The beds in all of the residence halls are twin XLs. John, are there diagrams to know which rooms they'll be selecting? Like, is there a PDF file that has? Yeah.
There's a 3D graphic of each of the room types, and so they will have the room numbers that correspond with that particular schematic. So they'll be able to see what the room looks like.
Kelly, do you want to take the orientation question about students who will be living off campus?
Sorry, I have to get used to unmuting myself. So yes, we will have orientation opportunities for students living off campus, which is going to be very important. We're excited that you will be joining us. And so those will be determined by the end of the month when we identify the housing move-in process. Most likely it will be either that Wednesday, Thursday, or Friday. If you are a transfer student that is living off campus, transfers will be starting on Friday because there is a specific transfer only orientation that begins on Friday, and then you go into general orientation for the rest of the weekend.
Kelly, do you know if first year students can take summer classes in the summer session too? Yeah, okay.
So yes, students can take classes, and it's a really great way to get started with the type of rigor that you're going to be doing. I'm not sure if we have announced whether we're going completely online or in person yet for summer session 2. John, do you know? So information will be available for that by contacting the Center for Student Academic Success. I would recommend work with your admissions counselor to identify how and where you will be able to register if you do want to take a summer course on campus. And yes, you are able to take some summer courses.
And you can take just one class. John, do you want to take the question about recommendations for dorms for engineering students who did not get into an LLC?
Any of our first year halls would be a great opportunity. And so, you know, the engineering LLC is in Gawler. And so I would say, you know, certainly if you see another bed in Gawler, because not all of them are reserved for the LLC. So if you see a bed in Gawler, or if you see a bed in Dillon, it's right next door. And so those folks would have some fellow engineers nearby. Cremont would be an option as well. But any of our first year halls will have a good number of engineers who are living in those communities as well, so you can connect up with your peers in those spaces.
Yeah, I know not all engineers live in Gawler. A lot of them live in a bunch of different residence halls. Do you know, John, if you applied for an LLC, can you still pick a different residence hall that's not that LLC? Or once you're accepted, do you have to pick that one?
That is a good question. I don't want to misspeak. So I would say if you want to if you want to change LLCs, or if you want to step away from the LLC experience, I would email housing@gonzaga.edu and explain your situation.
Question about roommate group. Do both people have to select the same room, or does one person select the room? So you have to communicate with your roommate and see who has the earliest time, and then the one with the earliest time will go in and pick the room that you guys choose, and they will add the roommate to that room. So only one person with the earliest time will select. Again, Gonzaga does have a list of items students should bring. It will be in the How to Zag guide or on the Housing and Res Life website. Where do students usually purchase tents? There's a ton of different places. I know my housing or my tenting group got ours from Walmart. There's also REI, Amazon, a bunch of different places around Spokane. Ooh, how to best choose a meal plan? This is kind of a tough question until you get on campus and kind of figure out your schedule and, you know, how many times you want to eat at the COG or how many times you want to get a Starbucks during the week. I would say I know you're able to change your meal plan within the first 2 weeks of being on campus. So I would maybe pick the one that you think will be the most beneficial. And then if you say you want more Bulldog Bucks or you want more swipes, then you can go in and change that. Yes, it's possible to take the online summer course. I know they haven't released if they're doing completely online for the summer session 2, but you should get an email when they confirm that. Ooh, how much sunlight gets into the rooms? I would say that depends on where your residence hall is located and also which direction you're facing. I know my room got a ton of sunlight and I faced west towards McCarthy and towards Seattle. But I feel like that kind of depends on which direction you're facing. But I would say most of them get a good amount of sunlight. Yes, you are allowed to have microwaves and electric tea kettles in rooms. I had a microwave in my residence hall my first year, and it was really nice. Information about parking permits, our campus security office, if you on the Gonzaga University webpage, just look up campus security, you should have information about the parking permits.
And I will share that parking permits for fall don't go on sale until August. So any information on there that's rates or specific parking locations, all of that will be updated and ready to go for fall in August. And Justin also put in the chat the parking info.
Refrigerators and microwaves are not provided by the university. You're expected to either purchase them, but there is a rental process through Housing and Res Life. No?
Not anymore. So they would be able to be purchased at any of our local retailers, Target, Walmart, you know, those kind of spaces will have micro fridges available for purchase.
And definitely talk to your roommate to make sure you both don't buy 2 microwaves and 2 fridges. Lexi, do you have any advice on how big the rooms are and the fridges fitting in there?
I say I've seen a lot of different variety of people. Like I had a really small fridge, but I know some friends had like bigger ones that had like a little freezer. And I know there wasn't an issue with fitting that into the rooms. Someone had a question, what are some things students tend to bring that wouldn't be on the recommended lists? I don't really know. A lot of like decorative items. I feel like the list is like very basic, so kind of depends on what else you want. I don't really know how to answer that. Just kind of depends on your decor and what you feel like is necessary for you to live in.
And if it's the question from Rachel that you would not recommend bringing,
Oh,
animals are always good. Don't bring animals unless they are a service animal, which there is a process for you to be able to uh, uh, get that accommodation. John, do you have any other recommendations on things not to bring to the residence hall?
Yeah, anything flammable. So, you know, propane tanks of in kind, halogen lamps, candles, things that could catch your room or your building on fire. Those are all bad. There's also a do not bring list on the Housing and Residence Life move-in page, which will be available here as soon as we solidify our move-in details, which will hopefully be next week.
someone had a question, knowing what wings are girls and which are boys, so you know which room you won't want to select. So I believe it won't let you select anything that's not like your gender. So you won't have that. You won't run into that issue when you're selecting your housing. Dorms or residence halls will be open during Thanksgiving break, and meal services will be available. The meal services might be a little limited though, but you will have options for meals every day. Your fall semester schedules will be chosen by the Center for Academic, what is it called again?
Center for Student Academic Success.
Yes. So they will base your schedule off your academic interest survey that you have completed. You should have completed that by June 2nd, but if you haven't, make sure to contact them. So they base it based off that and the major that you have selected. You can start getting registered for your mailbox. Today, they started on June 1st, and you'll be able to find that information in the How to Zag guide. John, do you want to take that question about issues with the housing application? Can you see that?
I can't, if you want to read it.
Has there been any issues lately with the housing application? I submitted my housing application on May 9th and received a notification saying that my application was submitted, but then I got an email saying I never submitted a housing application. When I went to Zag Living to fill out another one, I got an error message. Is there any way to fix this?
Yes, so I send your information to housing@gonzaga.edu. And our office staff who work with the Zag Living software will help process that information for you.
First question, are most loft or raised beds requests granted? And I believe so. I haven't heard of anyone having an issue that they requested a loft kit and didn't get it. John, do you have any more information about that?
I do. We do have a limited number of kits. So if you are interested in a kit, I would get your name in quickly. That is not through Housing and Residence Life. That's actually through our plant, physical plant. And if we have run out of lofts, what we find happens is that students who thought they wanted a loft kit many times don't want a loft kit, and then they will turn them back in to plant. And so we will form a waiting list and then inform folks that a loft has become available or a loft kit has become available.
I know a lot of people tend to change their minds about the loft kit, 'cause I know me and my roommate did it and then we ended up not liking it, so then we returned ours. So then that could have opened up spots for people to get that loft kit.
It's important to note that the beds are adjustable in their height. And so many times students want to have some level of storage underneath their beds, and they can put their beds on the highest rungs, which gives them a good amount of storage beneath. And some students choose to bunk their beds, which then gives them the ability to have more floor space in the room. So it's really, if you want a loft kit though, I would get your name in now, and then you can always choose not to use it.
Question, should we bring fans? How was the AC? I would probably recommend bringing a fan. I know I had one. Yeah, I would definitely recommend bringing a fan, especially you will really only need it in August and early September. And then the temperature starts getting a little colder.
There are some buildings that do not have AC, so it's important to note those buildings that don't, and you definitely want a fan unit in those spaces for a couple of weeks.
Can you have a heated blanket? I believe so. I don't think there's any restrictions. Yeah.
Yeah,
John,
no
do you want to
go ahead.
get the question of why aren't fridges and microwaves offered for rent this year?
The Gonzaga's contract with the refrigerator rental company came to an end this summer, and we evaluated the service, how many students took part in the service, and the feedback that we received from students. And it was largely, the feedback was largely that units were much more accessible at local stores. They can purchase them, they can hand them down to other students. You could find them at secondhand stores, things along that line. So that was the decision that we took.
Keurigs, you are allowed to have those in your room. I know majority of people have a Keurig in their room. Students do not have to rent vacuums. Your RA will provide you with one, so you always have one accessible for you to clean your room. When will we know our class schedule? I believe still August 1st. That is usually the date that you will receive that. And then after that, you can, if you want a schedule change, you can go through that process.
And I will say, in regards to class schedules for the fall, we are also still working on what the class process will look like, particularly in regards to response with COVID-19, and we'll have more information about that in future How to Zags.
Someone asked, are the community kitchens on the dorm floors useful? And I definitely think so. A lot of people will cook little dinners with their friends, make pasta, cookies, do all that kind of stuff. And they usually will have a larger fridge that people are able to use if you have like a bigger carton of milk or anything that you want to store in there.
Please note that because of COVID, we will not be providing kitchenwares like we do typically until we are out of this particular situation. So if you want to cook in that kitchen, please be aware that you need to bring a pot, a pan, silverware, bowls, and the like. And then the kitchens will still be available for students to use. We just won't be providing the cookware.
And I just want to provide a reminder, if you want your questions answered, please include them in the Q&A section and not in the chat. We're leaving the chat to be able to share resources and links to everything that we're providing for you. So if your question hasn't been answered and it's in the chat, please just go ahead and throw it into the Q&A so we can answer as many as we can with the next 10 minutes that we have.
When will we know if we get a loft kit for our bed? John, do you know when because I know you can submit requests. I think you can submit them starting now, but you know when they will confirm that?
It will be before you arrive on campus. So it's a pretty quick turnaround. So you'll know that you'll have a loft kit.
For tents, how many people for the best size? So you can only have 6 people in your tenting group. So I would say a 6-person tent is perfect. You do need to request beds for loft kits. Justin will put the link to Plant Services loft kits in the chat.
And that one, Lexi, I think was in reference to John's earlier comment that you can move your bed up to the highest position for increased under bed storage. Can you answer that?
Yeah, so you do lift it yourself, and it's really easy. I would just say, like, if you have another person to do that. If your roommate is selected randomly by Gonzaga, do they share their contact information with you? John, do you know that answer?
Yes, as soon as you have a selected roommate and then they're confirmed, then you would have access to their contact information. So you'd be able to reach out to them.
So follow-up question to that, if a student waits until after the 19th and gets assigned a random roommate, how will the student get that contact info?
Yeah, it'll be on Zag Living as to who they're living with. So their contact information will be available at all times.
Yeah, for Julia's question, random roommate doesn't mean waiting until after the 19th. So you still want to select your housing on the day and time that you were given. It just means when you select that housing, you might not know who your roommate is, and it'll just be like a random screen name. But don't wait until after the 19th, or else you'll be randomly selected to a random bed in a random residence hall. So you want to make sure that you get your pick on that day. Are there kitchenettes in every hall?
There are kitchens in every hall, and in most halls, there's one per floor. Most halls, not all, but kitchens in every building.
Is it easy to move around furniture when you first move in? Definitely. There's not a ton of ways you can move around the furniture, but it is easy to move. Kelly, do you want to take the question? Is there an option for gun storage off campus? Or John, I don't know.
I believe that's a John Wheeler question in regards to on-campus housing. The one piece I will say is that we are covered by federal regulations as being a drug and weapons-free campus. So we'll let John take it from there.
Yeah, I'm not aware of off-campus storage, but there might be. I would just do a Google search for that in Spokane.
The university does not offer shuttle service from Gonzaga to Seattle, but there's a lot of options with the train and bus systems, and also by airplane. Or there is a Facebook group, Gonzaga Carpool, and a lot of people post like, I'm going to Seattle this weekend, does anyone want to ride for like 25 bucks? So that's a great way to get free or really cheap rides to Seattle or Portland or a lot of places around Gonzaga. Because of COVID-19, will parents be allowed to visit over Thanksgiving? Kelly, do you want to take that question?
John, I think if you could take that question as somebody on the pandemic response task force.
Yes, we are asking folks to be cognizant of their health before they visit their students, and we're asking students not to leave for Thanksgiving unless they plan on staying home for after Thanksgiving and finishing their courses via a virtual delivery. Students are allowed to stay on campus post Thanksgiving all the way to the end of the semester if they choose to do so, but we're asking that students not go home for Thanksgiving and then return to campus. So parents would be able to come to visit, is my understanding at this point. Further information, things change as they always do. So I think it's important to know, to pay attention to the notices coming from the university.
Someone asked which dorms are typically a little louder, more social. So I would say Catherine Monica CM is definitely a more social residence hall. I would say Coughlin can definitely be a really social residence hall. Typically more quieter ones would be Madonna, Tui. I would say those are probably the most popular ones. John, do you have any more input on that?
Met can be a fairly social space. Welch can be quieter. Some of the smaller halls like Lincoln and Alliance are quieter. Cremont would be quieter. And those would be, Madonna is kind of a mix between. So Madonna's a good level of sociability, but academically conducive as well.
The deadline to select your roommate and room, so if you don't select it by June 19th, the housing office will put you in a random room in a random residence hall. And you will hear who it is. You'll find out through Zag Living. John, do you know which residence halls don't have AC?
Most of the older halls don't have air conditioning, and so Dismet, Welch, Alliance, Lincoln, Madonna, CM, or Catherine Monica. We use acronyms. Sorry about that. Catherine Monica. Coghlan does. Tui, Dillon, Galler. Those are the primary halls that do have air conditioning. But it's on our website if you want to peruse the halls now to see what their features are. It's listed as one of the features there.
Yeah, I know there's a couple questions about lock kits in the Q&A section. I know Justin put the link to that, so you'll be able to find out all that information in the Zoom or in the chat. You can start shipping your items to the mailroom starting now, right, Kelly? Yeah, and then they will hold it till you move in.
Yes, so we do encourage you, please apply for a mailbox, and once you have your MSC box number, which is your mailbox, you can go ahead and start sending things over. And it's one of the nicest and easiest ways, particularly if you're traveling from a distance, that you don't have to worry about traveling and bringing that information over. The items over. You can go ahead and just have it shipped, buy it online, have it shipped directly to Gonzaga. There is a link in the chat and for you to be able to request a mailbox. Thanks, Justin.
And it's super nice, and you'll probably keep that same number throughout all 4 years. I know a lot of people still send their stuff to their MSc even when they live off campus. And the link to the job portal is in the chat. And students will meet with their academic advisors Monday of orientation weekend and do a little get to know you, learn about the major and program that you're in. Are slow cookers allowed in the residence halls? Yes. Yes, they are. What is the difference between a loft kit and a raised bed? So a loft kit is provided by Plant Services and it will raise the bed even higher. So like the raised bed is just done by you and it only moves it up, I would say maybe like 6 or 7 inches. And then the loft kit can raise it up like really high, like a bunch of different levels.
The beds are just, without the loft kits, the beds will raise to about 3.5 feet above the ground. The loft kits will take them at about 5 foot off the ground.
Will we be able to move more items into the dorm after our selected time, or will we be able to see how many items we can fit into our dorm beforehand? John, do you want to answer that?
Sure, yeah. You know, obviously folks will come in and we actually suggest that folks be a little bit restrained in what they bring to campus. I think folks don't really realize how quickly the space fills up. And so if you come to campus, set up your room, and you recognize that you're missing some items, then there's an opportunity to go off campus and purchase things at a local retailer, Bed Bath & Beyond, Target, Walmart, things like that, and then bring it back to the room. That is actually what we would suggest, is that you consider doing, you know, to take a look at the space after you have your belongings in the room first, and then fill in where you see gaps.
And then students do have the ability to stay on campus after Thanksgiving, but everything will be virtual, but the facilities will be open.
And I do want to go ahead and acknowledge we are at 2 o'clock. So we still have about 9 open questions available. And our session is technically over at 2 o'clock. We would welcome the opportunity to answer those 9 remaining questions. John, would you be able to stay with us a couple more minutes?
Sure.
Lexi, Justin? Mm-hmm. Okay, wonderful. So our last question is going to be the question submitted by Nancy Manzo. So thanks, Nancy. We look forward to answering these last 10 questions. And then after that, any additional questions that you have, you can go ahead and email us at firstyearexperience@gonzaga.edu or save the date for our next Q&A, which will be on Saturday, July 11th.
Yes, so just to confirm, classes will be online after Thanksgiving. You do have the ability to stay on campus, and facilities will be open, such as dining halls.
The library, all services will be available for students.
Someone asked, is there a website to buy and sell stuff from students, like a mini fridge? There isn't a Gonzaga specific one, but if you do a Facebook search about like Gonzaga buy and sell, you should be able to find Facebook pages with that information. I don't believe there's a limit on how many items can be shipped to the mailroom. I think it's just as many as you want. Yeah. John, do you want to answer the question, how long do you have to move in?
We are opening up a 3-hour window for students to move in. And so there will be a morning window from 8 to 11. There will be an afternoon window from 1 to 4. That's the plan right now. We will need to verify that with our partners across campus. And so 3 hours is what folks should expect.
Yeah, students are allowed to have TVs in your room. You do have a limited space, so I would make that purchase maybe after you move all your stuff into your room. When will you receive the How to Zag guide? We are dropping all of them in the mail on the 12th. So you should receive it shortly after that. And I think that wraps it up.
All right, that wrapped it up, Lex.
Mm-hmm.
We're good to go. So thank you everybody for joining us. We really appreciate the opportunity to have you here. The chat has a couple of links that were submitted by Justin in regards to many of the questions. So we encourage you, please go ahead and follow those links to get the most updated information. Please contact our office if you have any additional questions or things that just come up between now and our next Q&A. We hope that you enjoy the How to Zag guide workbook, as well as all of the wonderful Zag swag coming to you. And we thank you for your time. Thank you, John, for joining us. So we had the most updated housing information. Thanks, Lexi, for giving us that student perspective, and holler to Justin for managing the chat and making sure you all were getting the best resources. So until next time, Zags, we look forward to seeing you, and please keep posting on social media, #HowToZag. Bye.